Hello friends. So this is my third part of the presentation on India specific factory compliances. In previous two videos presentation I have discussed compliances with respect to the Factories Act 1948. Now comes another part which is related to the Contract Labor Act. The exact name of this act is Contract Labor Abolition Act, Rule Abolition Act 1970. So basically, this Contract Labor Abolition Act, it intention of this act is to protect the interest of the contract laborers, because what happens that uh, uh, the contract laborers, they are they basically they are not role of the indirect role of the company, payroll of the company, and they are recruited by the third party. So, fact, the intention of this act in short term is that the whatever the viewer the recruited through third party, company has to take responsibility uh, to ensure that their interests are protected. Also, in the long term, it's the name mentions this this intent of this act is that contract labor should be abolished. Employment of the contract labor should be abolished. So now we will go through the compliance aspect as far as the Contract Labor Act is concerned. Uh, okay. Okay. So as per the Contract Labor Act, the company which intends to imply the contract labor, they need to be registered under this act. This is for this registration, they need to apply before implying any contract labor. So this is the application for the registration of the company as the contract for implying the contract labor. Basically, this is one-time registration, and it has to be in any case uh, any amendment happened. So basically, this act registration certificate mentions that this company is entitled, this company is permitted to imply the contract labor, and they need to fulfill certain conditions. For example, the minimum maximum number of contract labor which it can imply, and whether what the facility they need to provide for the contract labor. So certain conditions are there. The permission to imply the contract labor is there. Name of the contractors which they can keep as contract labor is there. So all these things are there in this contract labor uh, registration certificate. Any changes, it also says that if any changes happens in these particulars, then company has to intimate to labor department within 30 days of the such change. Uh, Changes such as the maximum number which is permissible, changes in the name of the contractor. So all these cases, the company has to intimate the labor department within 30 days of such change and take amendment of the registration certificate. They had to pay some fees for these changes. So once the fees is received, then the labor department, labor commissioner or labor officer, they will change the registration certificate, record the change in their registers also. So as an auditor, we need to find out whether the company which is implying the contract labor, whether they have the registration certificate, any change has happened, we need to find out this we need to review the conditions which is mentioned there as vis actual conditions which is there. If any changes is there, see whether that is recorded, if any changes in real there is any changes in the name of the contractors or the number of laborers, whether that's recorded in the registration certificate in the form of amendment. So basically this is the registration certificate related formality. Another is that whoever is contract contractors in the company, they need to obtain the license for keeping the contract labor. So this is basically license is specific to company. It's not that they can obtain one license and they can employ contract labor for any company. So this is specific to this company, and again this license will mention certain conditions. So we need to find out that whether the conditions which are mentioned, whether that those are fulfilled. Again it will can say that number of contractors they can keep, maximum number of contractors they can keep, and certain other conditions they can say. So both registration certificate and the contractor's license, uh, they the company has to have the registration certificate, contractor has to have the license, contract labor license. License basically it has to be renewed every year. So uh, when we are reviewing as an auditor, then we need to find out whether the for each contractor which is mentioned in the registration certificate, whether those contractors have the license which is in effect, means its effect till the date which is on the date which we are reviewing. Also we need to find out whether the annual renewal has been done on the timely basis. For example, if it expires in March 31st March, then it has to be renewed before 31st March. So whether renewal has been done on the timely basis. Also, these conditions of the license, which are whether it's being fulfilled. So these are the things which we need to review as far as the contract labor license is concerned. Uh, so this okay. Then comes the okay. Even any change happened in the contract license related particulars which is mentioned there, then licensee means contractor has to intimate the uh, the changes to the labor authority. So if any changes, we need to find out the any changes from the real current scenario. If any changes are there, for example number of workmen has changed, so whether they have informed uh, the labor authority on timely basis, uh, and license whether they have taken amended the license. Also what we need to do in this case, that we need to take at least certain period, whatever the numbers it's mentioned, its maximum number any day. For example, license was renewed on or amended on particular date. So after that date, in we need to every day we need to find out the number of labors for each contractor, and we need to find out whether the whatever the maximum number of labor is mentioned in the registration certificate or contractor license, any day number of labors doesn't exceed with that number. So basically this is things we need to find out. Next comes the uh, wherever the women labor. Sorry, another thing I forgot to tell you, this contract labor abolition act only is applicable for the establishment where are the contractor where the number of contract labor employed is 20 or more. If more less than though that, then contract this act itself is not applicable for that scenario. Next comes the 20. Again we can check any contractor which is working in the company and they have the uh, the contract labor uh, less than 20, then that rule will not be applicable for that contractor. Now comes the women worker, any establishment where our contract and where the 20 or more women are employed as a contract labor, then CRES has to be provided. So CRES will be basically at least two rooms has to be provided. One room will be the playroom for the children, and other as a bedroom for the children. Uh, Contractor has to provide the adequate number of toys and games in the playroom and sufficient number of cots or beddings in the sleeping room. Uh, so basically, this is the requirement. So if uh, uh, any establishment, if 20 or more women workers are employed, then crest will be there. If it's not, then it's non-compliances. Uh, Again, one thing is that any contractor, if uh, has come new on the board, started the work, then they need to inform the labor authority within 15 days of starting work. They need to inform the labor authority about their starting of the work. Also, when the contract ends, when they ends their work in the company, then also they need to inform within 15 days. So for the new contractors or for the contractor who has finished the work, then we need to find out whether that information has gone to the labor authority. So next thing is that uh, again the restroom has to be provided for the in and the restroom for the women will be separate. So for the in the company, if contract labor is employed, then restroom has to be provided, and restroom will be separate for the women. So that is the one requirement. uh, Again, one important provision is that female labor cannot be employed during the night time. So this is the important provisions. So night time means before 6 a.m. and after 6 p.m. the female labor cannot be employed. uh, Next provision is the canteen. Next provision is the canteen. So the